going to present in this session is the business intelligence for healthcare surveillance. I'm also going to highlight an implementation in the state of Florida, what I got involved in. Before I start, I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself. I have 5 years experience in the design and implementation of Microsoft Business Intelligence. I'm Microsoft certified knowledge specialist in the development and implementation of Microsoft Business Intelligence. I also have certificate in the Lean Six Sigma, a Green Belt certificate. I'm also HL7 certified in the interoperability standard. I hold master's degree in biomedical informatics, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD in biomedical informatics at Rutgers University. So what is going to be presented, going to cover an overview of BI, and BI is an abbreviation of business intelligence, as all of you know. I'm also going to highlight the site demographics. This is the site where we did the BI implementation for healthcare surveillance. I'm going to highlight how the project was initiated, and we're going to cover the project plan in a nutshell. It's just going to be the initial project because we did a number of other projects. We're also going to talk about the system configuration. This is the system that we implemented, how we designed it, and what hardware sizing basically we have done. And we're going to show some demonstration of the system. It's going to be a live demonstration. I'm going to highlight a very important component, which is the Maps API. It's really important for healthcare surveillance to plot data on maps. In the end, just going to have questions and answers. So that's going to be the presentation content. In a nutshell, business intelligence, without going through the definition of Gartner or other definitions, although I'm showing it on the screen, business intelligence systems are this bundle of tools that help transform data into information. So informed decisions can be made. So what fundamentally they do is basically the traditional process of making decisions. Is basically you have data either collected electronically or basically gathered manually through papers, and data basically are meaningless unless you analyze them, and then you derive information out of the data. Then you basically form or make informed decisions based on the information. So this process usually or has been done manually, and what BI systems, business intelligence systems do is basically they get data from transactional processing systems, or generally speaking, the data that organizations gather, raw data, and then basically the system would analyze the data almost automatically, and then the information is formed, and some actually BI systems make basically or help making decisions by doing some decision support. So what are the basic components of BI systems? Usually you have 3 main components of BI systems. You have a tool that transforms data from transactional processing, which is the raw data that is entered by or gathered by organizations, into a multi-dimensional data, which is suitable for analysis. You have the data warehouse, which houses the multi-dimensional data, and you have the analysis tool, and you have almost like endless kind of tools that are available out there. Yeah, I'm trying to see some error messages here. So you have dashboards, which are actually well known and common, that they usually consist of KPIs, analytical graphs, and scorecards, etc. So we have analytical reports and data cubes and data mining, just to cover some of them. To cover the tools and see that each and every tool is really targeted for certain targeted audience, targeted users, sort of say. For example, dashboards are usually targeted for people who don't want to do that much of modifications and development and have little kind of technical background. So administrators, executives who want to just see graphs and then they basically make decisions based on those graphs. So the dashboards are suitable for such uses. Analytical reports and maps are also suitable for administrators and quality managers and people who don't want to do that many modifications, while data cubes and data mining require really some technical work here. So just a variety of tools that are available for different kind of users. Within the BI market, you have many companies that came up with solutions, but there are actually 4 main products that are available out in the market. Microsoft is one of them, and it's actually my favorite and actually my specialty here. You have also a product from IBM, from Oracle, and from SAP. I really prefer Microsoft because it's highly flexible. It provides really huge ability to customize the solution to fit anywhere, actually. BI systems have been actually designed for financial and marketing, but as you can see now, we're implementing them in healthcare, and that's mainly because of the flexibility of Microsoft BI solution. You have other products, I mean, that are also strong in the market, and I believe that other products are strong in the market because of the ERP, the enterprise resource planning, and some other companies are really able to sell their BI package as part of their enterprise resource planning solution. But if you want to get an impartial actually comparison, which is actually available on the web from a well-known research institute, Gartner, you can basically refer to the address here. This is an up-to-date 2013 comparison between the most of the well-known BI solutions that are available. Talking about the site that where we did the implementation, we did it in the state of Florida. It originated actually in one of the largest counties in the state of Florida, Raed County, and the organization that manages or regulates and does the health planning within the county. It's called BRHPC, Raed Regional Health Planning Council. It was established in 1983 under basically one of the Florida statutes. And pretty much the whole state is divided across multiple health councils where the health basically healthcare is regulated and planned. And the system is now, we're in the process of covering the other health councils, but for now the system is covering Raed County within the state of Florida. Raed County is actually the second most populated county in the state of Florida with a population of 1.78 million people, and there is actually 21 hospitals and tens of nursing homes. The system currently covers all of the 21 hospitals on all of the nursing homes within the county. The databases that exist within the system right now, you have the utilization of all of the hospitals and the nursing homes within the county. You have the state registry for health administration, which gathers actually data beyond the county's hospitals. It gathers data from all of the hospitals within the state of Florida, 292 hospitals. And also there is financial data that basically covers only the county. So the project was initiated in 2012, and the initial plan was to cover Broward County only, but along the way a decision has been made to basically create other projects that are going to follow and cover the other counties within or other health councils within the state of Florida. The system is being used within Broward County, is used within the BRHPC, which is the Broward Regional Health Planning Council organizations, the planners within the council, as well as the healthcare organizations within the county. So hospitals and nursing homes, some maybe nursing homes, are also using the system to fine-tune their future investments and also current resources. The system covers almost all of the available components as part of the business intelligence system. So you have an ETL, the extraction, transformation, and loading tool. You have cubes, you have analytical reports, maps, dashboards. Almost all of the available tools have been implemented within the system, and you're going to see this when we go through the demonstration in a minute. The project plan, although it's almost like a typical kind of project that we walk through, basically it started with a preparation where we prepared all kind of resources before we started the project. Then we started the phases of, first of all, we implemented the infrastructure. Basically, we installed the OS operating system and the database and the basically SharePoint, which is the deployment vehicle that we used, or actually one of the deployment vehicles that we used as part of the system. Then we started developing, actually, then implementing the BI components one after the other. So this is the ETL. Recommended for a production environment. So you have to go with a 2-tier, 3-tier, or maybe beyond. So 2-tier where you segregate the SharePoint or the deployment tool from the SQL BI components, the SSIS, SSAS, the cubes, and the ATL and other components. Our plan in the future, when the system basically shows some overutilization and overload, is basically to go to a 3-tier where we're going to segregate the data warehouse, move it to a 3rd server, and maybe start dividing and distributing the SSIS into multiple servers, the same with SSAS, and maybe creating application servers to basically load balance for the SharePoint. So scale out is endless with this kind of design, but you have to start with a certain kind of resources and balance basically cost and performance. The hardware sizing was 2 production servers, 2-tier. This for the production environment, 2-tier deployment. Each server has 24 CPU cores, 64-bit running on Windows Server 2008 R2. The RAM is 128 gigabytes, and some people question why this large RAM is needed. This is because of using Performance Point, which is a tool that allows end users to do slicing and dicing on the fly, and this actually reserves memory on the server for each user that uses the system. And Microsoft's recommendation is to plan 1 gigabyte for each user, concurrent user that's going to use the system. So in our case, actually, we're planning around 50 concurrent users at the same time. 6 terabytes of storage, and this actually depends on how much data you have. The development server basically is a standalone deployment that it has actually a copy of the production system, but for deployment and for development and testing, and it's running on a standalone deployment. It's the same actually configuration as the production server. The system is currently, as I mentioned, is running in Broward County, and this is what I'm going to demonstrate in a second now. But I just want to highlight that we also have 11 other copies of site collection running on the same foundation for the other consoles. They haven't gone live yet, but we're in the process of basically developing them further and making them at reaching a production level where we can launch them. But what's going to be demonstrated right in a second now is just Broward County's site collection or copy of the BI system. So let's get started and show the system. Just gonna launch the browser here. Just gonna remove the presentation. So as you can see, the system is running on the web. Although you can access most of the cubes and reports directly through some tools. For example, cubes, you can access them through Excel, but we found it really very intuitive to use web-based kind of tools such as the SharePoint to do the deployment. Another key advantage of using SharePoint is if the organization has already automated their office processes using SharePoint, BI just can be another site collection within the foundation, and end users can use their same credentials and then log into the system. Although most of the organizations nowadays have AD, Active Directory, systems within their organization. So even if they don't have SharePoint, the same credentials can be used. So the system is divided into multiple dashboards. Each dashboard can be reached by clicking on the tab. The screen, as you see it, is highly configurable. We decided to end up with this kind of configuration, but just can configure it in the way you like. And that's actually a key advantage of Microsoft BI. Although it's more difficult to do the development, but the flexibility is really high. So the KPIs that you see are really interactive. They're not static. For example, if I want to see the number of admissions for the year of 2012 by month, I'm just gonna click on the 2012 figure, and then now I got it. I got the admissions by month. I can magnify the screen, zoom in, and get a bigger kind of view. I can slice and dice. For example, this is the number of admissions, and if I just want to stratify this by, for example, hospitals, I can choose one of the available dimensions. For example, hospital name, and now you see it divided by hospitals. For sure, you want to see the hospital names color coding. So I'm just going to add the legend to the right, and now you see the hospital, and you see what color matches what hospital. You can change the graph. If you don't like the stacked bar graph, you can change it to line graph. You can also change it to a grid. In the end, you can export the final product to Excel for maybe for further analysis, or export it to SharePoint. Going back, another way of slicing and dicing is basically by using a tool called decomposition tree, which acts the cube and allows the end user to basically slice and dice. So I just click on 2011 admissions, which is actually BRG coded, and then I ended up with a box that shows 2.5 million completely useless figure. So I just want to see what zip codes, patient zip codes, or from what zip codes most of the admissions are, or patients are coming. So I'm just going to divide it by patient zip code, and then you're going to see in an ascending way what zip codes basically send most patients. So obviously 33311 zip code is the one that sends most of the patients, but still I want to see what kind of service those patients use. So I'm just going to go to TRG, and for those of you who are not familiar with the coding systems, DRG is a diagnosis-related groups, which is a coding system used by Medicare, Medicaid, and maybe other organizations to specify the kind of admissions for hospitals, and then use this coding for reimbursement. So each admission has a certain kind of diagnosis related that is part of it. And so I'm just going to use a DRG to specify the medical service that is used by the patients that come from the 88811 zip code, just to see what service they really use the most. So obviously cardiology is the most service they use. Yeah, still I want to see I mean how they come to healthcare organizations, how they really reach hospitals. So you might want to go to admission type dimension and slice it by the admission type to see how they come to hospitals. And obviously most of the vast majority of the patients from this zip code that utilizes or come for cardiology come through the emergency room. So it's really very interesting kind of way for slicing and dicing the cubes. And I have to highlight, and also I have to disclose that I have no really interest whatsoever in Microsoft products, but these kind of tools really make the difference when you make the decision as to what tool or solution you want to use. And I'm sure other products, they have their own tools that are really useful. One of the, I just want to highlight also one of the outcomes that we basically found when after we developed the system. So I see the classification of diseases, the International Classification of Diseases, which is another way of coding the diagnoses and procedures, very common way of coding them. One of the outcomes that we found using this coding system after we developed the system is by looking at the 5 primary diagnoses by year for actually the whole state of Florida. So we found out that deliveries of some of them, pneumonia. The interesting thing is CHF, which is the congestive heart failure. Patients with heart failure have shown that the graph has shown actually that there is a steady kind of decline in those patients, which is actually very interesting, and it indicates that whatever public health program implemented in the state of Florida is actually paying off. So to make these kind of programs more efficient, we can use this tool to dig in and see how can we fine-tune such programs. So we're not interested in the other diagnoses. We're just going to clear the screen and focus on CHF. So I'm just showing only CHF, and I want to slice CHF by race, because it might be actually interesting to see if only one race is having this improvement, this beneficial decline in CHF cases, and maybe other races actually are not having such a decline. So what you can do, you can just right-click, scroll down through, and select race. And then now you can see that the other races are shown, but the interesting finding is only white race is having a major decline, while other races are having just a slight decline, or in some, or increase actually, like the what's shown in the Hispanic population. So it's really beneficial to slice even some figures to see what's behind such figures. And in this case, you might want to focus more on the Hispanic population, so you can basically make such programs more effective and drive better outcomes. So going back now to our BI system, I just want to show 2 very interesting tools as part of the system. One of them is report subscription, and the other one is report alerts. And these tools work only on analytical reports, SQL Server reporting service kind of reports. And these reports are page style kind of reports that end users can just open, change some parameters, and then print or save. They are canned kind of reports, pre-developed by SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Service developers, ready for basically generation and printout. They don't provide that many customization other than the parameters that are shown on the right side or on the top. Pretty much all of the parameters as part of the report can be made as a configurable kind of parameters. This is not the point why I'm showing the report. The point why I'm showing the report is what if an end user wanna get the report on a regular basis, for example, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. Instead of opening the system, generating the report, or basically changing the parameters, and then generating the report, saving it, doing this manually over and over on a daily basis, hourly basis, weekly basis, system can do the job for the end user by subscribing to the report. So when an end user subscribes to the report, he or she can configure the delivery option. So the system can generate the report and drop it in a Windows shared folder on the end user's computer, on a shared folder on a regular basis. The report can be emailed also on this regular basis. It can be also dropped in a SharePoint document library within the SharePoint. What the end user needs to do is basically enter the email address or addresses where you want the report to be sent, and then maybe change the subject, and then put some comment, and then configure the delivery event section by specifying when you want the report to be basically sent on an hourly basis, daily, monthly. You want it sent within the weekday, weekend day. Basically, when do you want it to start and if needed. The issue with this kind of tool, which is the report subscription, although it's very useful to get the report on a regular basis, the issue with such tool is basically you're going to get the report anyhow, regardless of the changes. Although this might be useful, in some cases, end users want to get reports only when certain changes have occurred. So this is where data alerts, data alert tool basically come into play. So when you open a report, you click on action and then you select the data alert tool, which allows basically the end user again to specify what changes would trigger the report to be sent. And it's just a couple of rules that you have to specify. For example, I'm just going to specify the total hospital admissions. If the admissions are larger than, for example, 10,000, and this is only for the hospital which is Cleveland Clinic. And then I'm going to specify how often the system gonna check the data. So if I specify daily, the system gonna check the data every day and see if this kind of criteria is met, and if it's met, basically the report's gonna be sent. Otherwise, not gonna get anything sent to you. The same as report subscription, you're gonna specify the recipients, and maybe you want to put some description. So it's a very interesting kind of tool to basically get the reports based on changes on the reports. Another very important tool actually for healthcare surveillance is maps. With maps, data can be plotted on a map, so basically analysis can be done in a more visual manner rather than just maybe graphs or grid tables. So there are two kinds of maps that we implemented, and they are actually the most common maps for Microsoft BI. One of the maps is ArcGIS, which I'm presenting right now. This basically API is provided by the most well-known company, as far as I know, in geographical information systems. The company's name is Esri, and they provide an ArcGIS version of their product, the well-known product in GIS. They provide a version of it for SharePoint, actually an API of this product, where you can plug in easily as part of the SharePoint with some tweaking. Actually, it's not really a plug and play. And that is what I'm presenting now. There is another tool which I'm going to present in a minute, and the tool is part of Microsoft. The tool is called PowerView, and there is a functionality within PowerView, the latest version of PowerView, called Maps. I'm going to present this in a minute, but we're going to cover ArcGIS first. So the map, same as the other analytical components, the map is interactive. So you have the layers where I can hide and show layers. I can change the base, which is really the geographical base. So I can select street, imagery, or any kind of base map. So I'm just selecting streets because it's important if you want to really analyze healthcare data to show the streets for healthcare organizations, et cetera. You can basically get a full screen where you can do the analysis in a full screen manner. It's good if you want to basically show a larger kind of geographical area. You can also add or remove layers as you want. And I need to highlight that I'm currently using just a normal user. It's a BI test user. It's not a developer's user, and any end user can just log in and do these modifications. However, everything is done in a sandbox, so everything you do basically not going to be saved once you click on close, but it's good to do these changes on the fly, to do your analysis, and then you maybe print it or save it. So this button is going to do both, actually. You can also, as an end user, create and save maps in your area within the SharePoint, but obviously the BI test user does not have read or write permission on this page. To change some of the layers on the map, basically the end user can just maybe delete, let's say, the median age, which is actually the background of the geographical region here, and you can see the color coding of the median age. And just to highlight from where we're getting the median age, it comes actually from Esri, the company I just mentioned, and the company actually that provides ArcGIS, and having such socioeconomical data available from Esri and maintained by Esri, up to date almost all of the time, is a big plus for using this API. And in fact, I'm just going to show some comparison between PowerView and ArcGIS, showing the pros and cons of each component. And we're going to also highlight the socioeconomical data that's available by Esri. So I'm just showing the median age by county, obviously. If you want to remove this layer, and then you just can just highlight it, it's removed, and it's out. You can see the streets and the other geographical features of the map now. So I just want to add basically another socioeconomical data, and you can basically select what data source. So we have a couple of data sources as part of the basically data warehouse of BRHPC, and also you can connect, or you have to connect to ArcGIS online in order to get the socio-economical data that is available by AlHazme. You have a bunch of categories, but the most important, interesting one for healthcare surveillance is basically the demographics. So you can see the population data is well maintained by AlHazme and available. You can show the unemployment. I'm just going to show maybe the median net worth. You just click on the layer and you add it. It's going to be added on the top, so it's going to really basically hide the other layers underneath it. So you might just want to put it on at the bottom of the layers or the map, or on top of the base map, right on top of the base map. So you see now it's shown underneath the other data points. You might want to change the transparency of this layer. So we can see this map also. So you can see how easy is manipulating such map. What I'm going to do now is to demonstrate a healthcare kind of planning feature or development that we can do in just a few minutes. I'm going to plot the congestive heart failure concentration of patients on the map, and also I'm going to show heart transplant centers in the state of Florida. And what we're going to see, we're going to try to see if the concentration of congestive heart failure patients, which many of them are going to need heart transplant in the end, if there are actually heart transplant centers within a certain area close to the congestive heart failure patients. So what we need to do is we need to remove the current maps, and again, end users can do all of that. So I'm just going to clear all of the layers on the map, and what I'm going to do is just going to go back and connect to the data warehouse and select DRG list, and then select two DRG codes, one for heart transplant and the other one is for CHF. And the system or the API is just going to connect to the SharePoint list and then start plotting the data. So now we see the heart transplant, where the heart transplant is done, and then the CHF, the data is clustered. We don't want it to be clustered, so I'm just going to remove clustering here. One of the issues that you might notice here is basically having the data point symbols are the same basically. So it's a bit confusing. So this to distinguish between the heart failure patients and transplant, I'm just going to do a couple of things. I'm just going to change the heart transplant centers, give it maybe red flags, and I'm going to change the sizes of the CHF concentration of patients, cluster it or class it. So basically the size of the pen gonna reflect, and also the color gonna reflect the number of cases and in the area. So we're just gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna change the pen color. Let's say low number of CHF patients gonna get green. Remove this, and then the high gonna get red pen. Just give it a minute. And also, I need to highlight that I'm using a system that is located in Saturday, and I'm in the New York City metro area. So this tells you that using the system from 1,000-something miles away is not an issue. So I'm going to change the sizes of the pins. So the green one should be really tiny because it's a small number of cases. It's doing the changes right now. Just give it a minute. Oops. So obviously I lost what I have changed, and the sandbox, actually, as I highlighted, has been restarted. So I'm just going to do the changes real quick. I'm just going to remove the layers. And add the codes of DRG. Okay, so DRG, just going to do the heart transplant and CHF. So its data is plotting now, and then I'm just going to start modifying the symbols to distinguish the two. Again, I don't want to have clustering here, and I need to change the CHF to have the classes. And then I'm just going to change the sizes. We're running out of time here, so I'm just going to try to run through the demonstration real quick. Just going to change. And I'm trying to show an example that is really relevant for healthcare surveillance. So change the size of the pen. That's small. This one should be a little bit smaller than the default. And this one should be the default. And this one should be a little bit bigger than the default. And this one should be the largest. This helps visualizing the different kind of magnitudes. So you can tell immediately that some of them are really higher than the other. Now we need to distinguish our heart transplant. We said that we're going to give it maybe a red flag, yes. So now it's obvious where we have the CHF, high concentration of CHF, and where we have heart transplant. So on the east of Tampa area, obviously we have CHF, high number of CHF, and we want to see that within, let's say, 50-mile radius, do we really have enough number of heart transplants? So there is a very interesting tool. I'm going to run through it real quick. So you select the data point. Highlight this. Select the data point, and then you say nearby this number of this concentration of congestive heart failure patients within 50 miles radius. How many heart transplant centers do we have? Do we have enough number of them? So we obviously we're covering some of them, but if you want to see this in a table, so obviously we have the Tampa General Hospital and just a couple of them within 50 miles. So in the end, basically you can print this. For the sake of time, we're going to jump to the other tool real quick so we could wrap up our presentation. The other tool is Power View Maps, and to show Power View real quick, which has actually some features that doesn't exist in ArcGIS. Basically, PowerView connects directly to the cube. As you can see, whatever cube I selected, it's just connecting to it. So I'm just going to highlight, show one of the dimensions, which is the counties, patient counties, actually. I'm just going to show the counties. I'm just going to make it larger a little bit. I'm going to switch this to maps. So it's just going to show the counties in a map. So we can start analyzing within a map. And I want to show the number of encounters for each map, for each county. It's showing them a larger pie as basically a larger number of encounters. And now what's going to make this really useful, this is not very useful kind of map now, is if I want to show some ICD, some diagnoses on the map and slice the pie by the diagnoses. So I'm just dragging the primary diagnosis, ICD diagnosis, and that's actually one of the good features, which is searching through the codes. So I'm just going to search through the code V30, which is the normal delivery, actually single label. Here you see the one with C-section, labels without C-section, and labels before the hospital admission, before reaching the hospital. So I'm filtering this before I drag it and drop it in the map, and this will slice the pies. So you see here, just quick kind of notice here, finding. On the northern counties of the state of Florida, C-section is much less common actually than the southeast of Florida. In Miami-Dade, for example, it's almost half of their deliveries are C-section, while in the north it's actually less than a third. Very interesting. So if you want to show this growth of or changes, let's say over here, you just do the filter. So I'm just going to filter for 3 years, and I'm just going to select some counties because it's just going to clutter the screen, and I'm just going to select, say, the first 7 counties, and then basically I'm going to use a tool that's called a vertical multiplier, which going to show multiple maps, and each map going to show basically pies that plot the data. So 2010, that was the distribution in pies, 2011, 2012. In the end, with PowerView, you can just save or export it to PowerPoint. That's actually a demonstration by its own. You can demonstrate it in an interactive way with doing these modifications within PowerPoint. You can save it within the SharePoint, etc., etc. For the sake of saving time here, I'm just going to run through the remaining of the presentation real quick, and then we're going to wrap up. Hopefully we can have a couple of minutes for questions. So that was the presentation. The pros and cons, we covered some of them. We're not going to have time really to cover all of them because of the constraints and time. Key lessons from the implementation. I shouldn't really underestimate the role of the project champion. There got to be somebody at the higher management who understands the need for BI, gets involved, and remove all kind of obstacles. You got to also make sure that you basically configure the system from the beginning to be scaled out, because you never know, usually such systems really scale out very quickly once they show advantages. You have to limit the scope when you do each project. It's very easy to get lost, and with elastic kind of projects, people want to add everything in one project, and you end up with an endless kind of project. Just set the scope, do it, and shift everything to the next project. Anything new to the next project. End users' role is very important. You have to have people from the end user area. And that's very much it, because we're running out of time, and would be more than happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Raed. That was very excellent presentation. I'd like to mention there were two questions from A. Jones. The first one, actually, let me just go from the latest one first, which is, if you enable users to use Power View, how do you control protection of potentially PII or personally identifiable information from leaving the system and sent to Microsoft servers?
Yeah, masking the data for, especially with BI systems, masking the data happens at a very early stage, basically at the ETL stage, the extraction, transformation, and loading. Usually, you don't select any personal identification or patient identification from the beginning. It's always generic, gender, male, female. You don't really select the exact address, although you select maybe the city and other areas. So all users, including developers, don't have access to any identifications, personal or patient identification, because this is filtered out from the first stage, which is the ETL.
Okay, no problem. And the other question that I have here from eJones as well, can we see how you coded some of the spatial actions or report functionality, or are some of these features now included in the latest version of SharePoint, and which version of SharePoint?
Yeah, the version that I used is SharePoint 2010. The Power View, for example, and most of the tools that I showed are also the same with 2012. Nothing has changed, actually, when it comes, I mean, just minor changes, but mostly they are the same. You might also want to look into, for example, ArcGIS, which is separate from Microsoft BI, but the latest release of SharePoint has not included that much of changes in the analytics tools.
Okay, the ArcGIS, that was a web part component in SharePoint, right?
Exactly, you're
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's see if we have any more questions here. I think there is no more question. The recording will be made available on SQL bi.sqlpass.org under the meeting archive, and we're just up to 9 o'clock. So thank you very much, Raed, for a great presentation. That was really insightful.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
everyone,
day.
for attending. All right. Thanks. Bye.